All right. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining today's webinar. We are very excited to have SwyftOps on with us today as we explore today's topic, why negative feedback is a gift, how to start learning from your caregivers and employees. And joining us today is Tasha Robertson, SwyftOps VP of Engagement, and also Chris Trempe. So Tasha, if you want to introduce yourself a little bit, and Chris as well, that'd be excellent.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. So my name is Tasha. I am relatively new to the SwyftOps team. I'm working on the sales and marketing side. I'm engaging with our subscribers as well as our vendor partners and kind of just making sure that everything is aligned on both ends. And that's kind of my role in a nutshell.
I'm Chris Trempe. I am a COO of SwyftOps. I'm also one of the ownership partners, and I've been here since day one. So excited to see this relationship get reignited and get some additional content out to everyone today, and appreciative of Home Care Pulse for doing this.
Excellent. Thank you both for being on today and for joining us in this venture. So to kind of kick things off here and go through the agenda of what we're going to be covering, I'll be covering the home-based care providers paradox and how that's going to impact your business and kind of what we're dealing with, so to speak, in the home-based care industry. And then we'll turn a little time over to the SwyftOps team to show what that integration looks like for collecting that feedback. And then I'll talk a little more about changing the industry's reputation that we're having to deal with, the impact of poorly managed versus positive reviews. And then lastly, we'll cover 10 habits. Really, what are those habits that make, what are the best practices, so to speak, for home-based care businesses and what we're seeing in our many years of doing this. So one thing I wanted to highlight just as we dive in and talk about reputation and collecting feedback is really just to put some data behind this. It sounds all great, and we know, off the surface, this is an important topic, right? Our reputation of our business is important, this and that, but to put some data behind it and really just make, Home Care Pulse is big on data-driven decisions. This statistic comes from Bright local survey. 87% of consumers report looking at a company's reviews before interacting with them. So pretty much everyone. So as you think about your own personal lives, right? I don't know about anyone else, but I know for me personally, I'm certainly looking at really any business's reviews before I interact with them. Whether it's looking for a job, whether it's going out to a movie and figuring out who has the best popcorn or this or that, or going out to dinner and things like that. Same exact thing. And especially in home-based care, if somebody's looking to place their loved one, they're going to certainly be doing some research on your business. And so it is extremely critical to hone in on your reputation and make sure you're collecting feedback to understand, what can be done to improve if there are any blind spots, within your business. So to kind of kick it off here, the home-based care providers paradox, we always refer to the shout and the whisper within the home-based care industry. Obviously the shout are those, the ones that we can obviously, influence your reputation right off the top. When they give you a very, very positive or very negative online review, for example, and that can be considered a shout because everyone can see that and hear that. But we also have to consider, the whispers. Those also equally affect your business, are a little bit harder to track and understand kind of where they're coming from because it's more of an inside out approach. And a lot of times these whispers can be, internal under the radar, but have that negative effect that we may not even know about. And I think a lot of that kind of goes down to the morale and things like that within. But these are both very critical pieces to give equal attention to and understand and identify within your business how to not only find out what are the shouts and especially what are the whispers, but how to address those and what do we need to do about them and what are best practices. And I know, so many people wish, I wish I could just be a fly on the wall to understand kind of what's going on at all levels of my business. And I think that's an area that Home Care Pulse does a great job of really just becoming that third party fly on the wall for a lot of our partners to help them better understand what's going on out there. Another critical piece to the paradox we're looking at in home-based care is really just the stigma that we face of it's a high turnover industry, with our caregivers specifically. And to kind of put some data behind this, it costs about $3,900 to replace a home-based care employee. 4 out of 10 employees quit within the first 100 days on the job. And so we have an uphill battle we're facing. And generally speaking, with all this turnover, it's very difficult, and a lot of things can slip through the cracks. And so, as we look at historically, in the last year alone, home-based care turnover increased by 12%. It was 65% last year to a staggering, 77% this year. And so it really is, everyone is in the same boat in home-based care. And we have identified some really good strategies to help in that area of sometimes that reputation can be tarnished a little bit, with all these moving parts and things going on. And so we are so excited to share a little more later on how we could address that specifically. This was also staggering as well, just to kind of share. 1 in every 2 customers end up leaving your company to look for services elsewhere, more on the client side of things, but something to consider and really just drive home for that feedback. Now we're going to turn some time over to the SwyftOps team, Chris, to talk a little bit about the integration, what that looks like. So Chris, time is yours. I'll go ahead and jump over here.
Appreciate it. So just to clarify, the Home Care Pulse integration we have, I don't know if it's very transparent that we have 2 sides to that. One is their training platform, which I feel we promote pretty well. And the other is the reputation management and managing the feedback from your business. And I don't feel like we've done a great job at promoting that, but we do have an integration. Now, it is one way, and you're basically turning on this integration and then selecting the cadence of clients, that'll be contacted and when. It's one way. There's nothing coming back to SwyftOps. So our goal is to work with Home Care Pulse to continue to develop that out a little more, make it a little more dynamic. And we both have grown in the last 2-3 years since we started this relationship. And at the time, the integration that we have right now was feasible. And now what we're working on, and Wendy's, who works on this with Natasha and I, is looking at ways to enhance this so that, one, the product, which is fantastic, is more appealing, because you don't want to be bopping around in 2 different systems. And we've heard a lot about, hey, let's get a 2-way aspect to it. So that is out there. And if you want to know more about it, you can go to our knowledge base as well. And obviously, Home Care Pulse can tell you about their product, but it's very simple. What I wanted to show you here is that some people confuse the Home Care Pulse integration with our ratings system. SwyftOps has a built-in ratings program. It is the most basic of basic. And what we put it in here for was for agencies that perhaps don't have the operating capital right now to be able to opt into a platform from Home Care Pulse yet, but they want to get their legs under them doing this and get some sort of feedback from their clients. So we added this to our platform, but we strongly suggest that if the voice of your clients and rating your caregivers and hearing the shout and the whisper is of importance to you, that you look into the Home Care Pulse product. That is far and above better than what we're putting in as a ratings platform. But if you want to check out our ratings as well, you can go into settings, you click the settings in settings, and then once you're at that menu, you just go to caregiver. And then from there, it's pretty simple. At the top part, it's where you could see it says caregiver. You put in what you want how many days they can change the rating. You put what the message is going to be. So where it says, please rate the services performed, that's what goes in the email to the client. And then you're setting a frequency. I would highly suggest you don't do per shift because that annoys people. So there's other cadences there. And then you set a starting date. And this will go out and come back into SwyftOps, and then there's reporting. The other side of it is it's available in the family portal. The way you turn it on, as you see right there, it says Barbara Allen. There's a box that says rate caregiver. And that's really it, right? It's not doing anything else dynamic as to where really you're checking a box similar to this to sync with Home Care Pulse, but their product is powerful behind the scenes. And that's what Evan and Wendy here are going to display to you to give you a little insight into their product, what it does, why you should find it to be important. But I did want to explain that this is what we have currently that's included in your fee. And the last, this is that's the email. You can go to the next one. This is an example of the email that will go out. It's a strict 1 through 10. They rate, and there's a star rating. So if you've ever seen the stars that show up when you're using smart matching or in a caregiver profile, that's driven by the rating system. If you don't turn it on, it's empty. If you do turn it on, it starts coloring them in gold. So we want to take kind of the things that we put in basically and provide that to you, but we don't really want to go much further on that. We put it in the family portal where they can add comments. We want to enhance the integration with Home Care Pulse so that you're getting the true power of a product that they have invested time and dollars in. That's not our industry, right? Or not on our vertical, I should say. In our industry, that's not where we want to play. We want to plug into that to give you that power. So hopefully that's clear about what we have versus what we don't. And we do have an integration now, just looking to enhance that. So if that's not clear, always reach out and I can help clarify more, but I'll turn it back to you, Evan.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. That's awesome. And to anyone seeing this or on the call today, I just want to put it out there. Home Care Pulse has grown a lot, as SwyftOps has over the years, specifically the last 2 years. I mean, it's been a whirlwind. We've added multiple acquisitions, multiple products, and so if you have any questions about what additionally do you do or how does this work, please feel free, put questions in the chat, reach out to us. We are open books. All of our reps on our team love fielding questions. We're not just out here to push products. We're certainly out here to add value and to help. And so just want to put a plug in for that we're on the same page there for driving value straight back to you guys at the business level. So appreciate that, Chris. And to everyone else, to jump back in, again, don't hesitate to put questions in the chat. I'll get to those at the end if there are any. So jumping back to talk a little more about the impact of poorly managed or negative reviews. It's if you were raised on the motto that other people's opinions of you don't matter, as a home care business owner, that doesn't really apply. We don't have that luxury to just say, well, I don't really care what anyone thinks, as we know these directly impact our business. 94% of consumers say an online review has convinced them to avoid a business. I know that resonates with me personally. As I think about this logically, it's like, yeah, if I read a terrible review about a restaurant in my area, I'm certainly not going to be jumping out to go over there. I'm probably going to avoid it. Or if I'm looking to place my grandfather with care and I read a review that is very negative and scary, and no one has responded to it, I'm definitely going to try to avoid that business. And so these are very important pieces of the puzzle that we need to remember. The damage to your reputation, negative reviews can very quickly damage that reputation if we don't manage them properly. So the review trackers found that that 94% would turn someone away. And then a survey by Bright Local revealed that 40% of consumers only take into account reviews written within the past 2 weeks. So we understand that not only are a lot of reviews important to look at and to respond to them, but also the recency. A lot of times that little piece slips into the cracks, and the recency of your reviews can also, specifically for Google, when you populate on Google, the recency plays into their algorithm. So that's critical to consistently be adding more reviews over time. not just, okay, let's send out one review invitation to everyone this month, get 50 reviews, and then be on our way and forget about it. It's critical to set goals monthly and to get those recent reviews coming in. And then lastly, negative reviews can also directly impact your business financially. The Spiegel Research Center noted that the purchase likelihood for a product with 5 reviews is 270% greater than the purchase likelihood of a product with no reviews. The statistics suggest that a lack of positive reviews or the presence of negative reviews can significantly affect sales. So if you have no reviews, or if you have just 1 or 2, a 1-star review can literally change everything for you. If you have 1 5-star review, that's also good. It's a positive thing, but if somebody sees that you only have 2 or 3 reviews, that's not something that makes you feel warm and fuzzy and to build your confidence up. So now to look at the flip side, positive reviews, increased trust and credibility really shows with this Bright Local survey. They found that 87% of consumers read online reviews for local businesses, an increase from previous years. So we know that over time, this is becoming increasingly more important. We know that positive reviews can really enhance a business's credibility and trustworthiness in the eyes of customers. And trust is a really big piece to this as well. And then higher conversion rates are critical as well. Positive reviews have been shown to improve these conversion rates. So across the board, this really is, again, to drive statistics behind what we're saying, the revenue impact as well. Harvard Business School study found a 1-star increase in Yelp rating, for example, led to a 5 to 9% increase in revenue. I know that everyone Googles everything. That's where we all go. Google is probably even higher than that, realistically, as far as improving those online reviews and the sort of impact on revenue that it could have for your business. Wanted to highlight and give you some tangibles here. We don't expect you to take 30 different takeaways here, but if you could take 1 or 2 things away today and implement into your business to make those 1 or 2% improvements daily, at the end of the year, if we're consistent with this and if you're building the right habits, you're going to see some really good outcomes. And so what we've done is put together these 6 habits of those with 5-star reputations in home-based care. And the first one is going to be ask for unfiltered feedback. So if you're not currently doing that, try to open channels for both clients and caregivers to share their feedback with you. That's going to help you uncover blind spots, better understand what's going on with your business. There's nothing more frustrating than trying to collect feedback and you get like a 7 out of 10 and you're like, well, it was good. And then you're sitting there as a business owner thinking, well, if it was good, then why isn't it a 10 out of 10? And you have no context. So that's critical piece, is to ask for unfiltered feedback. And we'll show you in just a little bit how Home Care Pulse can assist in that area if you're open to that. The second one here is going to be quantify the feedback to make informed decisions. And kind of going along with number 3 as well, take action to correct negative trends. I think action is the most critical piece to thinking about online reputation. We can do all our research, we can have our own ideas, we can have data even, but if we're not taking action to respond to reviews, to correct any negative trends we identify, we're going to just continue on the same trajectory and the same path. And a lot of times that's not a great place to be. Number 4 is going to be lean into positive trends. So use the good things that we're seeing and allow that to snowball effect for your business and to continue not only doing those well, but use that in your marketing efforts, display that, use testimonials, grow your business organically with that feedback. And then the 5th here is going to be ask every patient for an online review. And then lastly, respond to every single review. So there's a few really just key pieces I want to I know I'm kind of beating a dead horse here, but it really is so critical to respond to those reviews, get recent reviews, collect feedback internally as well. If there's a negative trend, correct that trend. If you don't have those processes set up in your daily in your day-to-day business, highly recommend looking into figuring out a way to get those set up. So to kind of go off of collecting feedback and really going back to the origins of Home Care Pulse, really what started us was our experience management surveys that we do. So this is a full-on, essentially it's a subscription to working with Home Care Pulse. We're going to help you collect feedback for both clients and caregivers on a monthly basis. We take a monthly sample size of around 7 to 10% of your client and caregiver census. And essentially what we do there is we call directly to your clients and caregivers to collect that feedback. And the amazing thing there too is this is real time. So if I were to call a caregiver today and complete a survey with them, I would share that with your location, your agency's location, and the same day it's completed, you will be able to go in and review that feedback. So that's exciting because this is something that is so industry specific. We really don't have any competitors because nobody does anything close to this. Additionally, we give you a benchmark so that you'll take your feedback and say, okay, we've got a 6.5 out of 10. Is that good, bad, okay? You will be able to benchmark your agency against the industry as a whole and also the region to get a little bit more granular there. So I'm going to go ahead and do a quick demonstration for everyone. Give me 1 second and I'm going to pull this up here. This is going to be our experience management platform. So let me make sure that jump back here. Everyone see this, just a thumbs up. That's good. Okay, so this right here is the Home Care Pulse experience management platform. So as a singular agency, I will be able to log into my account and I can understand right off the top the recent responses from both clients and caregivers, and very quickly, almost like a heat map, look at the different colors that I see. So there's green, that's a very positive survey that was completed. There's red, that was a negative, and I can click in and view this feedback immediately to better understand what they said on a scale of 1 to 10, what that measuring stick is, and really just dive into that feedback. And then at the top here, you'll see those two graphs. This is where I can get those right off the top benchmarks to the industry and to the region. And this is invaluable in information that we talked about earlier, where if there is a negative trend or those whispers that are going on, this is going to surface and bubble up all of those internal things. And coming from a third party, I think it's so critical to understand that these people can be anonymous, these clients and or caregivers, but by default, we leave their name on it because they're essentially agreeing to do a survey with us and share their feedback. And if they bring it up and say, hey, are you going to share this with the agency I'm working with? I don't want to create a problem for myself. We'll just actually put them as anonymous. So we are very good at collecting specific home-based care feedback to help power and really just give your team the best possible data about your agency so they can take action on that feedback. And then additionally, we have the awards that any agency we work with on this XM and this experience management program, they can qualify to win those awards if you've seen them in the marketplace. The best of home care awards, so provider of choice, employer of choice, leader in excellence, again, to use externally to further propel and grow your business online. And this platform really pairs so nicely with our online reputation piece, which I'll show you here in just a moment. So I'll go ahead and stop that. And again, I know there's so much to cover and a lot of things we could dive into, but wanted to just give everyone a brief overview and explanation of what this entails. So please feel free. I'll get to the questions at the end, but just know we are available and can be reached as well after this. All of our reps are very excited to hop on and expound upon some of these products that we do have. And so the next kind of piece here is going to be the online reputation platform. So we can see this here. This is going to be where we manage the whisper and the shout, so to speak, for those external facing Google and Facebook reviews. Now, on the flip side, experience management is all internal. So we're calling the clients and caregivers and sending these reports directly to your eyes only as agency administrators and owners, and anyone on your team who you want to include there. This platform is going to help drive external reviews on Google and Facebook. Additionally, it's going to help you monitor and track reviews across all sources. So for example, I'll select Google here. It's going to show me my average rating, my total reviews, the response rates, the response time. And it's going to give you a great way to be able to come in here and manage those responses. So you can come in here and go to your reviews, and you'll see on the right-hand side the status of where you can actually come in and put like do not respond, already responded, in progress, and track across all different sources how we're managing those reviews. And additionally, because it's so critical to understand where you sit in your marketplace, everyone's different. I'm here in Middleton, Idaho. Some of the local businesses around me are going to be the most important to compete against, because I'm trying to win the local business. And so this report right here is going to give you the ability to plug in the 3 or 4 local competitors to help you understand if you're winning that race or not online. So that's a very powerful tool as well. And then really the last piece and thing I wanted to cover is our Ask tool. So this gives you the ability to, on top of Home Care Pulse, when we do our phone surveys, we ask all clients to leave a Google review. We send them a text message and or email, whatever they prefer, and we include a link. That one simple click on that link will take them right to your Google My Business page. And this is a way for you as a business owner to directly send these from your business. So not just Home Care Pulse sending to the handful of completed surveys we're doing every month, but you can upload a list of 50 individuals to send out review invitations to family members. Really opens up the opportunity for you to drive and to take action to collect more reviews on Google and Facebook. And you can customize the message here and so on and so forth. So really powerful tool. Again, as Chris was mentioning, this is going to really help you address these areas, and it pairs so nicely with the internal feedback of experience management. We do bundle pricing discounts as well, so highly recommend looking into that. If there are any additional questions on this, again, happy to dive in deeper. But we'll go ahead and jump back. Got a few other things here to talk about. Share my screen again. We see this all right?
Yep,
Awesome.
there it is.
Absolutely.
Very good. Very good. So these are both the platforms, just to summarize. Experience management program, again, just summarizing everything, gets real-time feedback from a third party. We can benchmark. And then on the Home Care Pulse reputation management side as well, what we just covered, that platform. So this just is going to give you a highlight kind of bullet points of what those areas covered, just to reference. And again, I can't think of much more that goes like peanut butter and jelly than these two platforms to really drive, what we've been talking about today, which is addressing that feedback, addressing those shouts and those whispers, and really what can we do to impact our business. So now we're going to go ahead and have everyone, if you would, participate in this poll question. Would you like to learn more about SwyftOps integration with Home Care Pulse that will help you turn negative feedback into a gift? And I want to just say as well, when we say, negative feedback into a gift, it's like, how is that even possible? How can a negative feedback be a good thing? And the reality is we're all human beings. Nobody's perfect. And businesses especially are not perfect, as it's a culmination of people, right? So for me, when I'm looking and doing research on a business and I see that there's, let's say, 500 five-star reviews, I instantly know that that is absolutely not true. When I see a handful of negative reviews sprinkled in there, it kind of gives me that warm fuzzy that we're looking for, to where I'm like, yes, I want to go work with this business. And additionally, when I see those negative reviews, I will immediately look if somebody has responded to them, because a lot of times people will just leave you a terrible review for no reason. Like, we had no control of that. It was not my fault that it rained on Tuesday, right? So sometimes they'll just throw a random review in there, and people can see that. Consumers will read through that and understand, well, that 1-star review shouldn't really hold much weight, but it shows that if you have a 4.8-star rating with 500 reviews, that is much more fuzzy feeling than 500 5-star reviews, because that looks tampered with and just really unnatural. So I think that's a good way to think about, like, the gift of, collecting feedback here, turning negative into a gift. Okay. So we'll go ahead and close that one up and jump into another quick poll question for everybody. Would you like our free guide on how to build a successful home-based care review campaign? This is a fantastic resource. We have so many resources on our website. Under the resources tab, you can go and access those. A lot of times you just have to enter your email and you can receive pretty much anything you want on there. And so that is also a great way for us to connect, if you're looking to connect with us and discuss further. So feel free to check yes, please on that poll question, and then we will plan on diving into some of these questions. So how are we looking on those questions? Did we have any in the chat? I haven't been paying attention.
Sure, absolutely. I think we had one that asked a little bit about whenever they work with a HCP specialist and go live, what kind of data will be shared with them? Is there any type of best practices that they would get from their implementation manager? Kind of walk through the implementation timeframe.
Yeah, I can walk through that for both products. So for experience management, that usually takes 1 to 2 weeks to get fully up and running. And a lot of that implementation is going to be connecting to your scheduling software. And so what we'll do there is we'll connect in. That way the roster sync can happen every 24 hours. It will come in and update your client and caregiver lists. That way we can start making those calls. And the feedback that you can expect is, we actually have 5 rated questions that are all specifically tailored to home-based care, for clients and caregivers. They vary a little bit. For the caregivers, we ask a little more about training and things like that. But all in all, the expectation there is to get you up and running in about 2 weeks' time. And we also have you send out, we obviously don't want to just randomly start calling people and they're like, who the heck is this? We have you send out what we call an inform letter to let them know you've partnered with Home Care Pulse, a third party, to give you a voice, to help you better your experience ultimately and share your feedback through this third party. And so we warm them up with that. And then in about 2 weeks' time, we start those phone calls and start plugging that feedback into your dashboard. And then on the reputation management side, that really takes a little bit less time, about a week's time. And what we'll do is we'll sync up if you have care.com, or if you have a Google page, we will connect that and get those links prepped so that for your ask tool, you can start asking for reviews. And that if we're doing experience management as well, we will have that Google page linked for you guys. We'll link your Facebook pages. So that really only takes a couple of days for about a week of onboarding for the reputation management piece. Is there anything else, with that? Was that answered well? Hopefully.
It appears that it was.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Well, Any other questions? It looks like that may have been the only one there. And of course, we are always open. We've got a team of many reps across the nation that are very good in their local areas, that know the local guidelines that are needed for home-based care providers and the trends and things like that. So we are certainly always open to expounding on those areas.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we had another question that came in that just said, what happens if, do you provide any like Q&A or any type of support in regards to negative reviews and what we can do to respond to those or have any suggestions?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think as far as just to be transparent, right, we don't necessarily have a team that will hop in there and respond to your negative reviews for you. What you will have access to is our support team, where you can request information on best practices. And I know our support team deals a lot with specifically negative reviews and have had a lot of experiences there in a sense of, can I get this removed, or what should I do with this? And so we can certainly help provide you with some guidelines, but to be transparent, we don't have a system where it's like, okay, here's a negative review, and then we will come in and basically do that for you. But we will put the best data in your hands and a team at your disposal to get those guidelines in and a better understanding of like what action should I take. For experience management, we have a very advanced team that is very excited to jump in with you and share best practices across the hundreds of people they've worked with, and help you understand what action should be taken based on your feedback. So it can get really specific if you're working with us from there. So that's very exciting and a huge value to a lot of our partners.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but in SwyftOps, I saw the comment about the caregivers on a revenge tour after they get terminated. In order for them not to get surveyed, if you made it part of your process when you terminated them to put a stop date, that won't flow to Home Care Pulse anymore, and they won't be contacted. So some would slip through, but that would be a way to avoid that going out before they were terminated, or I mean, after they were terminated. So that is possible as well.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's a lot harder to get someone to leave a positive review than it is to get them to leave a negative. The emotion drives consumer, right? So if we have a terrible experience or something like that, whether it's a client or caregiver or whatever the scenario, whether I went to dinner and my server took 45 minutes to refill my Coke, which drives me nuts. But whatever experience it is, we a lot of times we can't really do anything. They can go on to Google and leave a review, but generally speaking, there are practices within all of our platforms to be able to safeguard. So if we know that this was a situation with the caregiver and we know we don't want them receiving any sort of contact or anything like that, we can actually just put them on a do not call list and kind of exit them out of the process. So thanks for bringing that up, Chris. That's an important piece that we can sort of mitigate while still being ethical with what we're doing.
Yeah, when I look at the value of this, I came to home care when I came to SwyftOps. I was in different industries before that. We always had net promoter score, some sort of experience management, but there was never a company that was behind coaching or providing tools to be able to handle the feedback. But in the end, I always looked at whatever I was doing, whatever I was over controlling, it's all about growth, conversion, and retention. And all three of those things, if you can't do them, your business is going to fail. And they're all tied to the experience. So from there, whatever process you put in place to be able to handle feedback, having a team behind you giving you advice on how to maneuver those waters is important. I found that I had a rule instituted where anyone that rated a certain level or left a certain type of comment, I would contact myself as I was the decision maker overall and try and figure out where the service break was. And if it was silly, or if it was, I don't want to say emotional silly, or if it was actually legitimate service break, they should be emotional about. And without that platform that we had, I wouldn't have been able to convert and retain in the levels I did, which was leaps and bounds more than my peers in other areas of the country. So When I came here and saw and understood what Home Care Pulse did initially, I was super excited because that was something that I utilized back in my career path to really drive my revenue and drive my client retention to be at a higher pace than my peers. And I bring peers up because I wanted to plug their benchmark report as well. So Home Care Pulse releases a benchmarking report every year, and that's coming up here pretty quick in I think a month or two. And if you weren't a part of that, we would love for you to be a part of that. And there's a survey you take at the end of the year, beginning of the year. However, that data in there, so it's so important, and it's dense, but there's so much in there that you can get an idea where you stand amongst your peers across the country and just a realm of different areas. So Home Care Pulse brings a lot of different things to the table. I think that this feedback tool is fantastic. So hopefully that helped, and I gave a little clarity as to, again, why we're partnering with Home Care Pulse, and we really want folks to take advantage of this.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chris. And yeah, just rounding things out today and ending our conversation, we are so blessed to have a great partnership with SwyftOps over the years. SwyftOps offers more than 60 years of collective experience to the home care business and has, just added so much value to home care and been such a collaborative leader with partners like us to enhance our product and really challenge us and to make our products better, but also really a great advocate on behalf of all of home care. So just every day feel blessed to have this relationship that we do with home care and as well as SwyftOps. So thank you all for attending today. In regards to the poll questions, what we'll do is we will have follow-up on the SwyftOps side as well as the Home Care Pulse side. We have individuals on today's calls that will likely need follow-up in both areas. Thank you for your time today, and we appreciate your attendance.